start. I'm recording now. If anyone wants to share anything while it's going on and you don't want it to be on the recording, just ask me, I'll press pause, and then you can have all your privacy. So welcome, everyone. It's so great to have you here. This is really just for you. I purposely did not make there's no rules. Everyone's invited. Don't have to sign up to anything. I wanted really just a feeling of space for yourself to be held, to be contained, to be given advice. I feel like advice from people that aren't going through this I shouldn't say doesn't count, but counts less. I don't think I had someone in my house Friday night. I had a family sleeping over, and we went to the mamad. I think 4 a.m. There was a siren or something like that, 4:45. And she tells me, I don't think anyone in America could imagine, even if it's not so scary, like the whole family up 4:45 in the middle of the night in the mamad. And like it's not something people that haven't experienced it cannot understand. And therefore I wanted to create a safe place for those who are experiencing it to be contained and to be held and to be given guidance. So I'm just the host. I'm not the professional. I brought in the professional, but I do want to start with the writing exercise because I hope it'll be helpful to you. A short thing, just to give you the intention for what you want to come out of this meeting. It's going to be a 5-minute exercise. For those that have taken my classes, we always time the writing so that it should be safe and secure and not overwhelming for anyone. So my prompt to you is, what are 10 things that you would like to gain from this time period? We have no idea how long this time period is, right? We have no idea. It might be over tomorrow and it might go on for another month or more or something. We have no idea. So I would love for us to be able to have this few minutes to really say, like, this is my goal. This is what I'd like to come out of this to go forward. It might be physical. It might be emotional. It might be spiritual. It might be, let me accomplish this. It might be tangible. It might be, if I can achieve 10 minutes of calmness every day, I have been successful. Whatever it is for you, and there's no right and wrongs, and don't think deeply to what you write. I'm going to set the timer for 5 minutes and try to make a list of 10 things that you would love to achieve through this tkufa. It doesn't matter what it is, big, small, pitzy, it doesn't matter. And it doesn't mean you have to achieve them all. It's just for you to set an intention of what you would like to achieve. So you can start now, and we'll get together in 5 minutes.
Anything?
Yeah, I'm going to put in the chat what we're doing.
Okay, thanks.
Another 2 minutes. You can start finishing up. And when you're finished, you can just skim over your writing and see what comes up for you as you look at your writing. What are you feeling? What are you noticing? What are you observing? What are you learning from your writing? And you can do that now. Okay. Another half a minute, and then we're going to get together. Okay, welcome back, everyone. I hope this was helpful for you. We usually share if they're writing, but I'm not going to do that now. Maybe at the end we'll share because I want to make sure we have time for all our speakers and questions and answers. So at the end, whoever wants to share can share. I do want to share one meaningful thing. When I sent out a letter about this event, so I wrote that everyone really deserves a vacation and free therapy and a gift card to their favorite store. And I really, really think so. So one very kind Write Your Way Home member was so sensitive from England. She said, "Can I buy some gift cards?" So she gave three $50 gift cards. I told her to buy, there's a store, online website called Bench. I have no connection to it, but I just saw it had a lot of like food things and gift things and whatever. She bought three gift cards to all you incredible ladies, and we're going to raffle it off right now before we start, just as a present from Klal Yisrael to you. And I was utterly touched what Klal Yisrael is. And it's just a gift for you because I really honestly think that every single one of you deserves a present, deserves big presents, more than $50, and deserves a free vacation. After the Iran war, I felt like every single person needs therapy. And we just like went on in life and like, okay, go back to school, go back to life, go back to work as if nothing went on. And now we're in it again. And we need a time to take care of ourselves and to focus on ourselves and fill ourselves up. So the first thing I'm doing, Dr. Chaya Lieba, I would like to offer you, we have now 92 people. Can you choose three numbers between 1 and 92? No, not one. I'm 1 and 2. And I'm going to go according to my screen. I'm going to count the things, the boxes, um, and then I'm going to tell the people who won. Can you choose three numbers?
Oh, I sent them to you. 7, 83, and 24.
7, 83, and 24. Okay. While you're talking, I'm going to count the screens, and we'll see who it
is. Sorry for choosing 83.
Why? No, that's fine. Okay. So I want to welcome Dr. Chaya Lieba Kobernick. I just heard of you because I know you have these incredible summits of therapy is supposed to work. And I know you have the CBT and the DBT center that has a lot of therapists working there and does amazing things. So I'm very gratified that you offered. This is completely free, kind chesed, just because we care. And it's very special to you. So I'd like to give you the stage and thank you for joining us.
Yeah. So when you reached out, I thought that was a brilliant idea. Honestly, me and myself and my team have created so many resources. We were talking about it just an hour ago about how many things we've created over these years of wars that I didn't think of anything else. I don't know, but when you reached out, I was so touched. Like, yes, we do need an hour to just focus on taking care of ourselves, on rebooting and getting hopefully some ideas. So I thought of two things that I wanted to focus on. So I'm going to share them with you, and I hope that they will give you chizuk and direction in whatever way they can. So the first thing I always like to share with people in these situations, unfortunately, this is not our first round and not our first rodeo. But I think this topic is so significant, and not understand or misunderstanding or not understanding this fully can be just detrimental. So you know, I don't know if I can do this, but I'm gonna pin myself. So easier, yeah.
Good idea.
So when we're going through massively, I would say, I'm going to use the word traumatizing, but I'll qualify that and I'll explain what I mean by that. Experiences, it can like endlessly, but I'm kidding. But even just one, it can feel like I must become traumatized. Like there's no other way to be, like you said, Yocheved, we must all need therapy after this. But I really do like to explain how that works, because I think that this really can lead to like healthfully coping and moving forward. So when people go through traumatic experiences, and a traumatic experience can really mean, I think people a lot of times use that term to mean anything challenging that affects us in a deep way as we move forward in our lives. And I don't like to use it that way, because I would just rather say, like, we just go through challenging things, and they can just be really, really challenging and really deeply affect us without necessarily having to call it trauma. But actually, like witnessing or having threatened like death, not to be dramatic, but yeah, that does qualify as a traumatizing experience. And coping well versus developing longer lasting problems from a traumatic experience has a lot to do with how we kind of metabolize the experience in the times, in like in the short time frame from when it happens until it's over, plus a little bit of time. So during this takufa and in the weeks after following it, how I'm going to use the word metabolize until I translate that better. How we metabolize this experience is going to have a lot to do with, which is why I love that writing exercise. It's going to have a lot to do with whether we go on to have longer lasting problems from this, or whether we end up, not just being resilient, but actually coping well, growing from this, whatever, has a lot to do with how we metabolize. Now, when I'm using that word metabolize, what I mean by that is how we process the experiences that we go through. So two people can go through the same situations, and one person might develop lifelong problems from that situation, and one person can walk out totally like move on with their lives. And what's really the difference? There's a million factors that go into that difference. I can't say it's like one is a strong person and one is just a total weakling. That's totally not true, and a complete oversimplification, and don't let anybody fool you otherwise. But I just realized I wasn't paying attention to the time, so hopefully I don't speak for too long. Now I'm gonna start paying attention. So how we process and move forward has a lot to do with how we end up taking this experience forward with us, taking these experiences forward with us. And really the key to metabolizing well has to do with, I'm going to use the word processing. So how do we process? We process by writing, talking, expressing, painting, drawing, schmoozing with your friend, talking to a therapist. It actually really doesn't necessarily matter as long as there's a variety of opportunities at a variety of times to express what we've gone through, and it doesn't just stay stuck in our head. We have opportunities to process and metabolize that experience. Then we move forward from it. And so that's really, really key to handling well, is to, I want to say, like, constantly or as frequently as possible to be processing. So if you are alone in your home with your kids all day long, feeling super anxious, worried, scared, whatever you're feeling, whatever your normal healthy feelings are, and not talking about it with any friends, not talking about it with any family, but just kind of dealing with the stress of the situation, there's very good chance that that's going to stay stuck in you in a way. It could be in a small way, it could be in a really impactful way, but likely that's going to kind of stay with you. And that's unfortunate and unnecessary. So the real key is doing things like journaling, writing, talking in a group like this, just even being in a space like this where you're even thinking about what's going on in a more like meta way, like you're thinking about rather than just being in, is super impactful. So any way you can dance, do a hatzaga, make a painting, make a mural, talk it out with anybody, just whatever's on your mind. It doesn't have to be anything significant, doesn't have to be in any kind of particular structure. Just talking out what's in your head is very, 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 very important. And giving space for your kids to do that as well, your family members to do that as well, your friends and neighbors to do that as well, is very, very valuable. The second thing I wanted to talk about is increasing capacity. So there's a lot of different terms of that, but I'm going to use that term for the sake of this very brief talk. We all need a lot of capacity right now to make it through this tekufa well. Even though I do feel like we are so blessed. I just is like a little one second thought. 100 years ago, could our ancestors have imagined we'd be living in Eretz Yisrael in a war, and like, I have a mamad in my house, my kids are sleeping in it, and I'm like, oh no, there's a siren, we have to like not go to school. Oh, how hard it is for me. This is amazing. We're like witnessing open miracles all day long. But in any case, that aside, we need to increase our capacity as much as possible to make it through these days, to be healthy and grounded adults and humans moving through this. So increasing capacity is all about, I'm going to use the word self-care again, just to simplify the concept for the sake of time, but self-care can mean a lot of different things. All I mean here is filling ourselves enough to be able to manage. And so having enough capacity to manage has to do with how much I'm filling myself up. Filling yourself up does not have to be complicated. It does not have to be a day at the beach. It can be small things like making or setting up for your family a routine. That can really increase your capacity and really be great self-care. It could be doing a 1 minute mindfulness. I do a 2-3 minute mindfulness practice with my kids every day. That's really helpful. It doesn't take very long. It's not very hard for anybody. They like knowing, oh, now we're doing mindfulness. It's a nice part of the routine. So that's helpful. Going on a walk. You can go on a walk. I know some people might feel like that's hard, but for majority of people, going on a walk is really safe and healthy and getting fresh air, movement, and not something that you can't do with a bunch of kids home. And then also thinking about the things that you're already doing, just on a simple level. You're breathing. You're gonna have a drink in the morning. A lot of people have a warm drink like coffee or tea in the morning. Those are things that you can use as self-care, as long as if you're like switching your intention or focusing your intention. So I'm now having this warm morning drink. I am taking care of myself. I am enjoying each sip of this. I am filling myself up for the day. And so kind of focusing in on the self-care aspects of as much of our day as possible can really just grow our capacity to handle this exciting and wonderful time. That's what I have to say.
Thank you so much. That was so helpful. I really appreciate that. And I'm sure everyone else does also. We're going to leave question and answers for later. We'll see how much time we have. And thank you so much. I appreciate that. Okay, now Shalva Waldman is an amazing IFS therapist. She also does other types of therapy, AAR. She lives in Svas. I hope you don't have more sirens. I know you're having more sirens than we do, so I was worried about you. And we'd like to hear what she has to say.
Thank you. Thank you, Yocheved, for organizing this. Thank you, Chaya Lieba. Nice to see you, nice to hear you and everything that you shared. I'm just noticing we've got 114 people here and just a few of them on cam. And I'm wondering if those of you, even if you're in your pajamas, just show us head up. Like if you could just come on cam for just a moment and we could just take this in, just to say hello, to see your beautiful faces. And I just want us to take in as we're seeing all these faces come on for a moment. Like there's so many of us. We're in this together. We're all facing challenges right now. We're all showing up. We're all taking a moment to get some tools. We all care about the Jewish people. We all want to grow. And we're not in this alone. Like, what a beautiful group of Jewish women showing up. And just take a moment to take that in. And it feels like a real zchut for me to be here with all of you and sharing this moment, sharing some ideas. And I think, yeah, if you need to go off, you can, but just beautiful to see your faces. And I'm taking it in. I hope you guys can take it in as well. And we're in this together, and we're all facing challenges, and none of us have it much easier than any others. Maybe those who have mamads or have it easier than those who have to run downstairs and across the street in the middle of the night to miklat. But you know, we're facing this challenge, and none of us are in it alone. And I think that's really, really, really important. You know, we didn't coordinate between us what we were going to say, so forgive me if I'm overlapping a little bit with Chaya Lieba. But I think it's okay to review it and to say it in slightly different language. The way I think about trauma nowadays is that trauma isn't something that happens. Trauma has to do with a balance between hard stuff that we go through and the resources that we have to hold it. And everything that Chaya Lieba was talking about in the language that I use, I would call resources. So having routine, having community, having spirituality, having warm cup of something to drink, all of these things balance the connection, having someone to process with. So yeah, I made some visuals because I think in images, and I just want to share that with you.
One second. I have to make you co-host. Give me a second.
Yeah, let me share my screen and then I can
make co-host.
Okay, so obviously this is oversimplified for the sake of being able to share an idea, and everything in life is so much more complex. But in my experience, when we have challenges and we have resources that are big enough, we have kelim enough for what we're going through, then we actually grow from challenge. So that would look kind of like this, okay? So we've got challenges over here: uncertainty, exhaustion, family stress, disrupted routines. But on the resources side, we have connection, compassion, rest, emunah, movement, small little routines we can control, like having a hot drink or saying, morning blessings or dancing with our kids or whatever it is that we can control. And for each person, it's different, meaning for some people, the uncertainty might be big enough to weigh down the whole side of the scale, whereas the other things are less of a big deal. And the resources are different. For some people, movement and exercise are huge. For other people, it's not really what their system organizes around. It's not going to make all that much difference. So I think if we just take a moment to think about, and when it goes the other way, like if there's a lot of trauma impact, war, uncertainty, exhaustion, parenting stress, disrupted routines, and the only resource that I have at the moment is like I got into good night's sleep, but like nothing else is going for me. That's probably not going to be enough to tip the scale in my direction. So what does this mean? We have little, we have little control over this stuff. We have little control over it. We can't decide, like, yeah, let's just turn off Azakot until at least 8 a.m. Like it's Shabbos. Come on, you know, like nobody asks me or you about that. Nobody asks, maybe we should have school anyway. Like, no. So there's so much here that we can't control. What we can control to some degree is the resources that we bring into the system. So taking a moment to rest, to take a deep breath, to do something that inspires you, to reach out to a friend. Like we're Jewish, so we've got this traditional pastime of kvetching, right? And when we do that with someone we love and they can just like moan and groan with us, it is deeply satisfying. It is deeply meaningful. We feel so much better afterwards, right? So that goes on the resource side. And anything that for you goes on the resource side, like lean into it because that makes the difference between walking away from a situation like this, feeling traumatic impact, or feeling resilience. And actually, when you have more and more experiences where the resources outweigh the challenges, um, you walk away feeling a lot stronger. And I can say for me personally, Tova, we were here together in the Second Lebanon War, right? This is like a long time ago, and this is before the Iron Dome, and Katyusha's falling in the neighborhood, before they even built mamads, never mind me having one. Um, and for me at that time, the trauma impact way outweighed the internal and external resources. And for like many, many years after that, loud noises, explosions, whatever, I could feel them in my body in a really intense way. Um, and and interestingly enough, in the events since October 7th, where there's been so much in our society and community, so much awareness of like we need to pay attention to our mental health. This isn't just a physical war. We need to stay connected. We need resources. We need to talk about the impact. We need to process together. And of course, Amuna and Chizuk and the Iron Dome and the other, there've been so many more things on the resource side of the equation now that actually I find myself much less reactive to explosions now than I did, before October 7th. So that's just interesting to me, but like actually when resources significantly outweigh the challenges, we actually do build internal resilience. We build more capacity and we become bigger, greater, more capable, empowered people. And so one of my hopes for me and for my family, leaning into what Yocheved was talking about, is that we take this as a deep opportunity, as an invitation to lean into our kochos of tefillah, of togetherness, of showing up, of not being afraid, of trusting Hashem, and really using this as an opportunity. It's like Hashem is saying, like, oh, you can lift 5 kilo, here's 7. You got that? Here's 10. You got that? Here's 12, right? And the reality keeps adding weight, keeps adding weight. But if we keep pumping, then we add strength and we come out stronger, right? So I think that's like a very, very helpful reframe. And many, many people can go through traumatic incidents and not have lasting trauma impact, not have any kind of um, symptoms or such. And I think this can make a really big difference that we end up walking away feeling like this is hard, but I can handle it. Which says a lot about our internal capacity, which is very, very meaningful. Okay, I want to do a little exercise with you guys. Do I have a few more minutes, Yocheved? Yeah? Okay. So I'm going to stop the share for a moment. And we'll come back to that in a moment. And I want to do a little exercise with you guys. Who's had some hard or challenging moments over the past, I don't know, few weeks? Anyone? Yeah. Okay. Not just me. It wasn't just me, right? Okay. So I want you guys to think of one of those moments that really kind of brought you to the edge. Okay. That was like, whoa. Could be with the kids, it could be a siren, it could be something with a friend, a neighbor, between you and Hashem. It doesn't matter. Some kind of example. You got it? Okay. And I want you to let yourself kind of, if you want to close your eyes, lean into that hard moment, see where you were, get your bearings, And please don't take like your biggest life-threatening trauma for this exercise, okay? But like something annoying, right? Mid-range, okay? Yeah? Okay. Can you feel it? Are you there? There's like a little bit of yuck kind of inside from the challenge. Give me a nod if you got that. Okay. Now, what I want you to do, just for the sake of this experiment, right now, judge yourself really hard. Oh, you're so stupid. Why do you even care about this? Why are you reacting like this? Everyone else could handle it. What's wrong with you? Okay. However, your critical voice comes in, judge yourself really hard and then check in what's happening in your body as you judge yourself for that hard thing. You don't have to stay with this for very long. Once you notice the impact, step back, take a deep breath. Can someone tell me what happens inside when you do that? When you hold the hard thing and you judge yourself?
My heart started racing.
Your heart started racing. Shame. Anyone else? Speak up, throw it in the chat. Melt it into nothing.
I just wanted to start crying. I like my eyes welled up.
Yeah, like, whoa, right. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Feeling
So
really tense.
paralyzes. Yeah, really tense. Anyone else tensed up completely? A sinking sensation in my stomach. Yeah, yeah. For me, it feels like this crunch down, like like that moment when you like step on a egg carton, like, right? Yeah, pain in the neck, literally. Yeah, yeah. Also tears. Yeah, yeah. The kid who vomited in me clot, tense muscles, numbness. Yeah. Okay. So what do we learn from this? When we judge ourselves, basically our amygdala is checking about 10 times a second. Am I safe? 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 When we start being mean to ourselves, the amygdala says, no, I'm under threat. I'm being treated poorly. And it responds like to a real threat. And all of those responses you give, we could divide them into the fight, flight, fight, freeze, somewhere into the trauma response continuum. Because the amygdala is in that moment judging the experience as something traumatic, something dangerous, something that it needs to respond to in a harsh way. When that happens, our prefrontal cortex, our more kind of adult, adaptive, mature brain that can hold calm and perspective and respond in a mature adult way, is not accessible. And we're responding really kind of in a knee-jerk kind of way. Okay, so let's go back to that hard moment. Go back to that hard moment. Got it? Okay. And now I want you to put your hand on your heart, feet on the floor, take a deep breath, and say, oh, Shalva, wow, this is so hard. This is really hard. This is some big stuff you're dealing with. Put in your name, not mine, obviously. Yeah? And just give yourself some compassion. Give yourself some respect. Give yourself some understanding. This is not Pasha. You're going to be telling your grandchildren about this someday. This is big stuff. You didn't kill anyone. You're doing great. Yeah. And now check what's happening in your body. And you can hold that compassion. What do you notice? Take a moment, be with it, breathe with it. Tears of relief. Oh, yeah. Calmness, softness, empowered, expansion internally, feeling warm. Softness, open-hearted. I saw someone say irritated. That can also happen if you have bad associations with people talking to you nicely. But for the most part, when we hold ourselves with compassion, there's sort of a release, there's a relief, the tension can, and we're able to regulate a little bit more. Can you guys feel that? Yeah. So self-compassion is another really big, really helpful tool to managing hard things. Feel relaxed, feel happier. I can breathe a little more. My head clears. If I needed to like deal with a situation and come up with a solution, I might actually have access to my prefrontal cortex and be able to do that. Whereas before in that crunch down, I can't really do that. Right? Yeah. So, so I'll end with two short stories and then pass the baton back. Many, many years ago, I don't even remember what it was, but I was going through some hard time and bumped into a dear friend in Remington in the supermarket. And she's like, "Hey, how you doing?" And I just started to cry. I was like, "It's really hard right now. It's really, really hard right now. What do I do? What do we do when it's really, really hard? Like, what's the formula?" And she said, "It's very simple." I was like, "Okay, great. What is it?" She said, "You just don't do anything stupid that you'll regret when it's over. That's it. Like, lower your expectations. Don't try and solve it. Don't try and fix it. If you can, great. But like, if this is stuff that's beyond your capacity, just keep breathing, just survive it. And don't do anything that like after the fact you'll be like, oh my gosh, why did I just spend a ton of money on this thing? Or, probably not for none of you, but like get a tattoo or like gain 20 pounds or like, why did I do this thing now that I'm gonna have to deal with the fault or totally change the guidelines of, what kind of media comes into my house accessible to my children. Like, right. So it's less about what we accomplish and more about just holding on. It is going to pass. And I'll end with one last little story from Breslov Masora. And there was a guy and he's walking down the street, old cobblestone street, 250 years ago, and he's got a big stack of precious sfarim under one arm, and he's got his tallis and tefillin bag in the other arm. And as he's walking down the street, he realizes that the clip of his shleikis, his suspenders, came loose. So he's like kind of like holding all the stuff and walking down the street and hoping for the best. And then all of a sudden he notices the other side also went loose, and he's like, "Oh man, I'm in trouble." And then Rabbi Nachman asks, "So you know what happened to him? You know what happened to him?" He's like, "No, but what I can tell you for sure is that he isn't still standing there." Right? So any of this hard stuff, it feels impossible. It feels like in this moment, like, what are we gonna do? Where's my Yeshua gonna come from? But 250 years from now, and probably a lot sooner, none of it's gonna be relevant. We're not gonna still be standing there. So in the meantime, do what you can to give yourself resources, hold yourselves with compassion. I'm gonna drop a link to those images in the chat. You're all welcome to check it out. And good to see all of you.
Shalvi, that was amazing. I loved
Thank
it.
you, Yocheved.
We're Baruch Hashem, we're managing the time well, even though I hope we'll still have time for questions and answers afterwards. I just have to share, I said before Chaya Lieba shared that we have a raffle. Someone very kindly gave three $50 gift certificates to the incredible women of Klal Yisrael living in Eretz Yisrael that are courageous and dealing with so much. So I right away sent the chat to the winners because I knew things would jump and I wouldn't know who it is. But the winner was Tova, Toby, and Khani G. I don't know who you are, but congratulations. You could send me an email and I'll, whoever it was, I sent you a chat right away because I thought there might be a few different Tovas and Tobys and whatever. So send me an email and I'll forward you the gift card. And that's just a gift from loving members of Klal Yisrael to you. And really, I wish that every single one of you can get it. And maybe you can just treat yourself. And self-compassion costs nothing. And all the amazing ideas that Shalva gave us and Chaya Lieba gave us, try to be kind to yourself and give it to yourself. And I would like to introduce Dr. Ilyssa Bass, who is incredibly talented and wise in dealing with complex children and all children. And I think we all could use some tools how to deal with ourselves dealing with children in such a difficult situation. So, Dr. Ilyssa, welcome. Thank you for joining us. One second, unmute yourself.
Hey, hi. I'm scrolling through Shalvi's resources. Shalvi, they're gorgeous. And it makes me feel good just to see you. Okay.
I just have to say, Ilyssa was my teacher in my master's degree, so you should be having some nachas. Thank you. It's great to see you.
I do. Every time I see your stuff, I have nachas. And I really want to hang out. One day I'll get up to where you are. Um, okay. So I want to start because I think it dovetails off of the stuff that Shalvi was sharing, if it has anything to do with the stuff I just scrolled through. I want to talk a little bit about the importance of support and what it stirs in us when we need support, right? If you ask people right now, do you need support? Some people will be like, yes. And some people will be like, I'm fine. I'm cool. Whatever. And both people need support, but we both have very different nervous system experiences of support, right? So it's something that we know very clearly about trauma is that trauma is it's much more likely to be experienced as trauma if we are alone, right? Now, some of us have traumatic relational experiences by no fault of our own, right? Some of us have very rigid boundaries, avoidant attachments, whatever you want to call it. We grew up in ways where people just weren't emotionally available, weren't emotionally supportive, and we learned to be very, very independent. I will figure it out on my own. I am strong. I can do this. I will figure it out. I will, right? Those are the people, like, in some ways you want to be in the McLot with because they're like, they look very confident. And it's a resource. If you grew up that way, it is harder to reach out for support. And it's also a resource. It's really, really both. So if your inner experience is, I don't need support, I'm fine, or I can't find that in myself, that's okay. Trust me, you still need support. You may not have the felt sense or the nervous system experience of needing support. And it's still a need, just like you need food and water, whether or not you can feel it. So what do you do? And then I'm going to go to the other extreme. What do you do? This is really an opportunity to allow drops of support in. Your nervous system instinct is when a neighbor says, hey, can I do anything for you? You go, no, I'm fine. And it's just an opportunity to ask yourself the question, is there something she could do for me? You could still say no, but that momentary pause of going, could I let that in? Should I let that in? What would it be like to let that in, right? And I'm trying to decide where to go with this. If you are filtering people out, and I think this is a lot of the work that Shelby and I both do in internal family systems, is you can have gratitude for that part of you that filters people out, because some people should be filtered out. You don't want to accept support from every single person. But if you built up that sort of like rigid boundary, that like very thick line around your selfhood to protect yourself, you're over filtering probably. And it doesn't mean that the opposite is to let everybody in, right? So that neighbor who doesn't have great boundaries, or that in-law who doesn't have great boundaries, or that critical, grandparent or whatever, you don't have to accept support from everybody. But we are in a situation where there's a lot of stress, where there is an opportunity for a lot of activists. And so if your sort of nervous system response to any kind of support is to push, this is an opportunity to go, I know I have this need, even if I can't totally feel it. Where are safe places to let in drops from safe people? Now, because we are on a free Zoom webinar to offer support, I imagine many, many people on this call have the other side of like, I do want support. I'm ready to let support in. I'm craving support. It's not a stretch for me to receive, but I can go to places of feeling like I'm never getting enough, or like I'm not getting it from the people that I want to get it from. Or this is more the like, we grew up with a nervous system where we did get our needs met, and we got them met in very specific ways from very specific people, and our nervous system is still creating that, right? Like even in really healthy attachments, if I had a mom who was really verbal and we could talk late until the night, so I may enter marriage wanting to talk late into the night, and my husband may not be the type, but my nervous system may be craving that kind of reaction to regulate. So I think of this as kind of like the opposite of that rigid boundary. It's like a little bit like a porous boundary. Like I want other people to come in and regulate me. I want other people to make me feel calm. Or I want to make other people feel calm, because if everyone outside of me is calm, then the inside of me. Like I think of it almost like a dotted line, like there's a porousness between me and the people around me. Whereas the really rigid boundary person it can be chaos outside of me, but I can feel rock solid inside, for better and for worse. The other extreme is that place of kind of like, I need everyone to be calm around me so I can feel calm inside. So I will make them calm, or I can be very demanding in exactly the kind of way that I get calm. So, and I'm going to relate this to children all in a second. But if that's more your tendency, so I think for that sort of nervous system structure, the exercise right now is to be specific when you know you need something from a spouse, from a parent, from a neighbor, if you know that there is a way that they can help you feel calm. For many, many people, it's hard to be specific about it. We have this sort of nervous system like predisposition to like, they should know. They should know that that's going to calm me down, right? As opposed to saying, this is what I need from you right now. I need to be held. I need to be listened to. I need to, right? And then there are other human beings, so they may or may not respond, but it is sort of like a stretch to know what I need on the inside and say it very clearly, and then tolerate the vulnerability of that being met or not being met. And then there is that, like I was saying, the people with more rigid boundaries, they'll like overly push people out. There is that sort of appreciating that real deep desire for connection, and also allowing your adult self to make choices about who you're going to seek support from, right? I want your healthy adult self to seek support in healthy ways. So that's for everyone. For those of us with complex kids, I'm hearing from a lot of parents, there is like really bananas behavior, like really off the wall, crazy sibling fighting, throwing things. So a couple of kids are easier. Oddly, sometimes our anxious kids get easier when they're not in school. There's a small percentage that are easier, but most of our kids are a bit bananas right now. And so when I say to parents, I can usually tell within 5 minutes of the conversation, like, where are your supports? So we all have this leaning. Ugh, I'm not going to reach out to other people. My kid is so annoying. I can't ask anybody else to, right? That's the more rigid. Like, I'm going to not be vulnerable and ask for support. Or there's the like, I reached out to my sister and my neighbor and and like, just like, but nobody really gets it. And nobody really like, and they're both real. They're both real. It is vulnerable to ask for support. When you have really hyperactive kids, when you have kids who are on the spectrum and have a lot of sensory stuff, and the sirens are setting them off, and they aren't in their routine, and it really is, and I'm going to be a little like go out on a limb, it is impossible to care for these kids and keep your sanity without any support. Now, that said, there are situations and there are people who have very, very, very little support. And the message I want to leave you with is, it's important to know the support that you need, even when you can't get it. Why? Because it's part of our core connection to ourselves, right? I need someone to take this child out 2 hours a day. I don't know who to call. I don't know how to call. I'm painfully shy. even from the place of tefillah, to open up that kli, Hashem, please send me somebody to take this child out 2 hours a week, and to feel that vulnerability of that need, is a very deep connection to self. Often when I say this to mothers, this word selfish comes up. And so I'm just going to put it out there that it is never, ever, 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 ever selfish to know what you need. To take what you need at the expense of others, perhaps, without thinking about it. Maybe I can think of situations where probably not, but to know what you need is never selfish. You may not be able to get it right now. We are all under a tremendous amount of stress. You may not be ready to receive it right now because of your own history with boundaries and attachment and connection and support and whatever. And it's okay to not have the needs met. It is painful. It can be deeply vulnerable. And that said, it's okay to know what you need. And if all you know is, I don't even really know what I need, then at least you're at that place of connection of, I'm confused and I feel a little disconnected. So what I need is to reconnect.
Sorry.
Okay.
Ilyssa, I'm sorry. A few people are writing me that they can't hear you. Do you be able to talk a little louder?
Okay. I'm basically going to open it up to questions now. I'm good.
No, finish your last sentence. But I'm just getting a lot of chat. So finish up. I want you to finish up. It's amazing. Finish up, and then
I think that's it. I was just at like, it's never selfish to know what you need. And I think knowing what you need also it is a place that's hard to go right now, because we don't have total control over, like, I need my kids to be in school. I need, I need certain people in my life to show up in certain ways that they can't right now. I need more time to myself. I need time for exercise. I need deep and meaningful conversation with other adult humans. And many of those needs are not being met. And that there's a place for growth there, to just tolerate the discomfort of, I'm not getting my needs met right now, right? Like, probably the most annoying thing your child can do is need something right now and be super, 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 super persistent about it and not stop asking for it. And sometimes just modeling, like, wow, you really need that thing. And I can't get it for you now. And there are a lot of things I really need right now, and I can't have them either. And that really stinks. Like, sometimes being in that real place in yourself, I think is even a skill that we can hand our kids. Okay, I got quiet again. Sorry, I do that, and I don't have my lapel mic because I don't know where it is.
thank you. That was amazing. I think I got my resources from this incredible event tonight. Thank you. I want to open to a few questions. We don't have so much time, but I want to give the opportunity to anyone who has questions or things they want to share with any of the presenters. The stage is yours. You could raise your virtual hand if you want to ask any questions. So all the time is here for you. Shayna.
Hi, I had a question for Chaya Lieba. I know she mentioned that she takes a few minutes each day to do mindfulness with her kids. Does she mind sharing what exactly that looks like?
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to. Somebody also asked me privately, and I will, Bezrat Hashem, send some practices out. Think about how, but if you're on our WhatsApp status or newsletter, then you'll get informed about it. If not, I'll post it in the chat. But just briefly, what I do is, so I often lead mindfulness practices, so it's not so hard for me. I think that sharing mindfulness with your children is easy to do when you're practicing yourself. It's trickier to figure out what to do or how to do it when it's not something that you've done yourself. When it's something you've done yourself, so I'll say that first. If you regularly practice mindfulness yourself, you're just adjusting language. Children really are better at mindfulness than adults are. I always explain when I start talking to anybody about mindfulness, but for sure to children, I explain you're born perfectly mindful all the time. And then we get distracted by all kinds of things. But really, when we're born, we when we're eating, when we're sleeping, when we're tired, we go to sleep. We don't, when we're sad, we cry. We don't think too much about it. And so sharing mindfulness with kids is really just sharing how an adult would practice in language that makes sense to a child. I like to give a lot of guidance, and I like to use simple language and keep it short. But but yeah, not more complicated than that. If you don't practice mindfulness or you haven't practiced yet, mindfulness is really just attention, simply attention to anything. So I can be mindful of having this conversation with you right now, right? I'm not thinking about other things. I'm not thinking about what's going to be next. I'm not judging this moment as good or bad, or how I'm talking in this moment or presenting I'm just being with you, answering your question as it's coming up for me, and that's mindfulness. So it doesn't have to be more complicated than that. So with kids, what you might do is show them how to be mindful of their breath. I like to tell kids to put a hand on their heart and a hand on their tummy and notice, or their belly, and notice how their breath moves through them, how their body feels as they breathe, how their hands move as they breathe, things like that. Very simple. You can do mindfulness of standing. How do your feet feel on the floor? How do your legs feel supporting your body? Mindfulness of eating something. How does that food feel in your mouth? How does it feel when it's close to your mouth, but it's not in your mouth yet? So really simple things that you already do. Nothing more exciting than that. Usually, obviously, you can get more exciting. And then just sharing it with them, some guidance of how to bring their attention to what they're doing. Super, super helpful, very helpful for kids in this tekufa to build this kind of a skill. Might take a little prep work on your end, especially if you're not used to practicing yourself. You can definitely Google mindfulness ideas for kids. You'll get lots of ideas, but also I'll put my information in the chat. And then I'll send out some resources as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, someone just sent a question on the chat, but I'm not sure who it's for.
It's a parenting question. You want me to take it?
Yes, thank you.
So one, I just want to normalize that your kids are fighting all the time because they're understimulated, right? So like when you poke your sister and she goes, that's like super stimulating. May not be the ideal type of stimulation, but when you're really bored, it's actually physically uncomfortable. I have this visceral memory of high school, which I found extremely boring, being like so boring that I was like itchy. And so I doodled a lot and I wrote a lot of notes to my best friend, some of which we still have, and they're awesome. But, you know, 5-year-olds and 7-year-olds, they stimulate each other through poking at each other. So you are the parent, and it is okay to just kind of go, I have to keep our house safe, and you guys cannot hurt each other, not with your mouths, not with your words. And you can literally just put them in separate places and be like, we have to find something fun for each of you to do that is not near each other. But they are bored. And it's been a lot of days without enough social stimulation. And so I want you to think a little bit about like, who is your 5-year-old cognitively, emotionally, sensory wise? Who is your 7-year-old cognitively, emotionally, sensory wise? What kind of input do they need so that they're going to feel satisfied, right? You have a really, 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 really bright kid. If they don't eat some interesting intellectual information during the day, they're going to be hangry, right? The same way as if you literally didn't feed them. If you have like a sensory input kid who like literally needs to like be on a trampoline, bang into the walls, like, you know, playfully punch the other boys at Cheder the way that they do. So they're going to be physically starting up because they literally need that physical play. So I don't know what they need, but I can pretty much promise you they're understimulated and starting up with each other because that's what's going on. They also may not be sleeping or eating well enough. Like, you know, it's everything's off. So just permission to separate them, make a list with each of them of things that are fun to do alone. And just if we can't play together, then you have to choose something from that list. And you can even incentivize them. You go play in that room or in that corner, and you play in that corner. And if you guys can play your own thing alone for 15 minutes, then we can each have a chocolate. Like whatever it is, desperate times call for desperate measures. And sometimes you just literally need an incentive to keep them off of each other.
Thank you. Thank you, Ilyssa. That was great. Shalvi, would you like to answer this question?
Let me see if I can see the question.
You don't have it?
I'm working full-time in a super complicated job with low compassion of my situation. My husband is also not available most of the time. My kids are getting super frustrated at the phone school.
Yeah.
And I'm losing it trying to juggle all of that in between sirens. And I'm doing the same here. Do you want me to answer you? I don't know. Good luck, hon. It's really hard. That's the first thing. Can we just hold that together with some compassion? It's really, really hard. It's crazy. It's really hard. I hate being on the phone. It's a very different way to try and learn when the only stimulus is auditory. It's very hard to hold focus. And I get it. So I guess my instinct here would be like, let's set reasonable expectations. I don't know how much your kids are going to remember anyway from anything they learn on the phone.
Oh, I
So
do.
maybe yeah, 0. Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. So like what if you speak to each one and be like, okay, how many classes of phone time can you actually tolerate? Like, let's be real. Which is most important? Is it history? Is it halacha? Is it math? Like let's pick like, I don't know, one class that you can actually do. Let's come up with other activities that are more tolerable. And in my neighborhood, there are teenage kids who are also bored and, don't have what to do. I'm hiring them. They're running a kaitana on my Zimmer, which happens to be a bunker tucked into the mountain. It is ideal. It is ideal. We're paying them, peanuts to take care of other bored little kids, and they're having the time of their lives and feeling so empowered. Like find something that they can do that they can feel good about, and lower the expectations, and go easy on yourself. Like it is really, really hard. I think one of the hardest things is when you have to keep up with your work obligations and everyone expects you to be like available mommy like you're on vacation. Like that's really, really hard. Yeah, and a lot of it's about adjusting expectations big time. Yeah.
Thank you. Maybe we'll take one more really after time. Okay, I think we're going to stop here. It was amazing to have you all. 1 second, let me see if anyone needs something desperate. Okay, good. Thank you. It was wonderful having you all. I wish you all the best. Thank you so much, Chaya Lieba and Ilyssa. It was amazing. And I'm sure everyone else gained as much as I did, but I'm thrilled that I got all this. And you gave so much incredible information. You can reach them all. Can you all put in your contact information on the chat in case anyone wants to sign up for whatever you offer? And I wish you all loads of siyata d'shmaya and loads of everything should go easy. This war should end very quickly with Mashiach. Like we're all trying to just great. Okay, good. It's all the contact information is there. We should all meet together in Chatzav the Beis Hamikdash, Be'ezus Hashem, with Mashiach, happily, easily, smoothly. And until then, we should all have loads of kayach and compassion and schedule and resources. You know that most of you all said be'erech similar things. You all said how to give ourselves the resources we need, because in order to get through this time, we need to invest in ourselves. We cannot just deplete ourselves and be empty and allow ourselves to just fall apart. We need to actively give ourselves resources and the support that we need to get through this. So I wish you all loads of siyata d'shmaya, and you should have everything easy and smooth in this time, and wishing you all the best. Thank you for joining.
Thank you for putting this together.
Thank you.
Good night.
Okay, bye-bye, everyone.